Testing. 1, 2, 3, testing. Gotta see if we're on or not. I don't know why, but this thing has been acting up. Doesn't let me know until like what, 5 seconds in if we're actually on. And we're on. Alrighty. Well, hello guys, Dissection of Violence here. We have an interesting card for you this week. It's not the most stacked. It's actually a lot of pretty close fights. So that's why I just want to get into it and see how we do. To start though, we got who we definitely got to turn off my alarm. I'm gonna do this. No. Okay. Alrighty. So to start, we have Jamal Pogues versus Thomas Petersen. Thomas Petersen, start with him. He doesn't have much of a process. And like his striking is very rudimentary. His cardio isn't amazing, and we've only seen him really have to go outside the first round a few times. I think someone like Pogues isn't going to be the guy to really push the pace and make you pay for it with that cardio. But I do think Pogues will be able to piece him up from the outside for 2 rounds at least. I think, does Pogues find himself on his back at some point? Maybe. But I trust Pogues being a black belt and having pretty solid wrestling to deal with Thomas Petersen. I know Petersen has a AA accolade, but in MMA doesn't seem to translate that well. Um, he's done all right. Don't get me wrong, LFA champ or whatever, but he's beaten nobody like have legitimacy. And frankly, I just don't trust his mindset. I think someone like Pogues will, sometimes succumb to the punches and not fight back. But at least he stays in there and doesn't quit on himself. I gotta rate Pogues' skill set. I just think he doesn't carry a lot of power, and I think that um, I just don't think he fights. He leaves a lot to be desired. Like he could finish the fight if he wanted to, but he just kind of just plays with his food, kind of just pokes away, looks to get hit, not get hit. Doesn't look to finish the fight, really put a stamp on it. But for the most part, I just think Pogues is just a more talented fighter. I think he's gonna win this fight. Um, yeah. Honestly, I just don't see what everyone else means when they're talking about I don't see like what anyone else means when they're talking about um Pogues' like physique. I know he had one, his last fight wasn't a great look, but I do think that was one fight. I think he's coming into this fight with a lot better physique. But yeah, next up we got Markel Mederos versus Landon Quinones. Honestly, Landon, he looked pretty decent in his last fight. He still took a beating. Um, he took a beating from Nasrat Hakparas. I think Nasrat, in all honesty, is just he's a hard style to fight. But I think that fight proved to Landon that he can do that kind of style in the pocket exchanges. Having close quarter wars. I just think Markel's style is the complete opposite. He's gonna look to poke and prod, change his stance, land the better shots, not get hit. His defensive awareness isn't amazing, but it's okay. And I think it's enough to get out of the way of landing strikes. I think Markel Medeiros wins this by decision, but it is a tricky fight to call. I do think Landon Quinones is definitely he could be a threat, especially later on in the fight. I don't know how Markel's cardio is. I know that he does mix up the wrestling and the striking, so he could find some success in the takedowns. Win a decision that way, having more options to win the fight. But you never know how it's gonna play out. I think Landon Quinones is talented, but he just gets in his own head. It's an interesting matchup. I think Markel is gonna edge it. I wouldn't put much on this fight if at all. Um, Excited to see how it plays out. I think Landon Quinones is definitely someone you gotta, not take too lightly, but someone I wouldn't think would be causing someone as talented as Markel too much problems. We'll see though. I don't know. Landon might gain some confidence from that last fight. Having a war with a vet like Nasrat, you never know what that could do to someone's confidence. Maybe help him. Maybe I think I don't want to do that again. I don't know. We'll see. All I know is that's a really good fight, and yeah, I really really like this fight on the card and a few others for sure. Moving on, we got Julia Stoliarenko taking on Luana Carolina. Interesting fight here. I think Luana Carolina is definitely the more well-rounded fighter. I'd say her striking's better. She stays calmer in there. I like her composure. In the round one, Julia is always a threat with that armbar. Um, I definitely think Julia is a pretty legit black belt. I just don't rate her skill set very highly. I think also she's very hittable, and she's going down a weight class. This is her second time at the weight class. I think that I think that she does have a good shot of winning in that first round, but I think as the fight goes on, I think Luana's going to pull away with her activity and her showboating. I think it's going to get the judges' nods. I'm going to go with Luana Carolina by decision. I think that's the most likely scenario in this fight. Definitely not a fight I would want to play though. I'd definitely be careful playing this fight. It's it's a trap. A lot of people think that, we're gonna play either one of the sides. You don't. You can just sit and watch and enjoy this fight for what it is. But yeah, I'm gonna go with Luana here. I think Luana is just gonna be the more complete fighter, and I think she's gonna be in there throwing what she throws. Um, she's gonna be throwing straight shots, taunting her, letting her hear it. I think Luana's just going to be more appeasing to the judges, and Julia's clunky, exhausted footwork, especially later in the rounds, won't be as, you know, favorable for the judges. So I'm definitely going to go with Luana Carolina here by decision, but yeah, I wouldn't put too much faith into this fight. Definitely would not. Um, yeah. Moving on, we have Blake Bilder uh, versus Jung Young Lee. I think Jung Young Lee is very, very talented. I think he has faced pretty good competition. Zai Yi is a very, very dangerous opponent as far as his grappling. Good, tenacious grappler with good wrestling. And Jung Young Lee found his opportunities to get back up, use the cage, but scooted back to the fence. I think Jung Young Lee is underrated. I think he is going to cause a lot of problems for somebody as basic as Blake Bilder. Blake Bilder has some talent for sure, but he's nothing truly that spectacular. His jiu-jitsu isn't great, his wrestling isn't great, and honestly, and I just got a message about the Patreon guys. I'm changing a lot of things. I don't like charging for picks, but at the same time, there's just some people I feel like that I would just not I want to charge them, but like I feel like I'm obligated to get picks out there for certain people, and it just would make my time feel a lot better. Um, but yeah, man. I'm gonna work out some programs for you guys. Um, yeah, everything's gonna change though. I have a lot of different plans for that. Um, but I'm definitely to wrap up this little thing. I think Blake Bilder is definitely talented and could maybe KO Young Lee, but I just think Young Lee is a more complete fighter, more talented prospect, and I think he's gonna get a big win here, maybe even KOing Builder. I'm gonna go by decision though. Young Lee by unanimous decision. Gonna be a fun fight though. Moving on, we got Themba Gorimbo versus Pete Rodriguez. Um, Man, Pete Rodriguez definitely a dangerous man with his hands, but other than that. I just I think the UFC knows what they're doing for Themba. They like Themba. I think they're giving him a favorable matchup with the grappling because I think Themba has this better grappling, more tenacious, um, more experience. I think Themba is definitely not great, and like that's always a bad sign. Someone has a championship belt in their profile picture, and I know he went life or death with Takashi Sato. But I'm gonna have to go with Thumpa Gorimbo here. It's not a confident pick. And the value side does say Pete Rodriguez, but I just can't justify Pete Rodriguez pick. Yeah, he's just I don't know, man. He seems like he has some talent, but he's just got a lot of things in his game he's got to work on. And I just don't trust his wins. And I think Themba Gorimbo is a little more established. I'm gonna go with Themba for that reason. I think Themba's gonna outwork him and maybe score a decision. Interesting fight though. Definitely wouldn't want to bet on this one. Definitely, I feel like this one's a landmine fight. No matter which side you take, it's gonna get quite sweaty. But yeah, I'm gonna go for Themba here by decision, and I think Pete Rodriguez. His best chance is in that first round. If he doesn't get a KO in that first round, I think it heavily favors Themba. Um, Pete's always going to have that power unless Thumba puts a pace on him. It really wears put that lactic acid in his arms. I think he's going to have that power throughout the fight. But I think Thumba's going to have a good job neutralizing him. So I'm going to go with Thumba here by decision. Moving on, we have Charles Energy Johnson versus Azat Maksum. So Azat is a very, very talented fighter. Mixes in his throws, mixing in his you mix in his striking. I'd say the guy is very, very fun to watch. The only problem is I feel like someone like Tyson Nam, if he can back you up, I feel like definitely Charles Johnson can as well. The only thing with Tyson Nam is I feel like he's a bit of a bigger vet than Johnson, where Johnson's still finding his get ups and working on some things. You know, Nam's been there, done that, kind of understands positions a little better. I think Johnson is definitely talented, but he just another guy that just admires his work, doesn't really do a lot. As far as like trying to finish the fight until he feels like he has to. I just feel like he's a too frustrating of a fighter to bet on confidently, but I just can't trust Azat. I think he is a rightful favorite, but a slight favorite. I don't think Johnson should be being disrespected by the odds makers. I know he doesn't fight to his potential, but I'm just gonna go with Johnson here. I just feel like Azat is good, but I just think Johnson has that style to, taking undefeated fighters, undefeated record. And I think Johnson, this is a great comeback fight for him to really get his name back out there. I'm gonna go with Johnson here. It's probably a bad pick in hindsight after the fight's done, but I don't know, man. I see something in Johnson, and I'm hopeful that this is a fight where he finally gets to show us what he's got. Um, but yeah, man. I got Johnson by probably second round, third round TKO. And moving on. Molly McCann versus Diana Belbita. So Molly McCann, in no world she should be negative 300 here. Do I get why she's a favorite? Yeah. I feel like her boxing's a bit more crisp. But the thing about her that bothers me is I don't know how she's gonna deal with Belbita's I wouldn't say aggression because she lacks a bit of that, but she does have better takedown defense. And when she does get uncomfortable on the feet, I'm curious how she deals with that. They both have improved, so I'm interested to see how they looks in the rematch. I'm just siding with Belbita here because it is a 50-50 fight, and I assume Belbita has made more improvements than Molly. Gonna be a close fight. Definitely could see it going either way. I'm gonna go with Belbita here. Could be another bad pick, Belbita and Charles, but I'm gonna go with Belbita here. I'm trusting my gut here, and I just think Belbita is definitely the value side, and I just have a gut feeling she's gonna edge out a decision. Um, yeah, Molly's definitely the rightful favorite, and Yeah, I'm gonna go with Belbita by decision. I'm gonna go by split. Definitely gonna be an interesting fight though, and I'm gonna be watching it for sure. Moving on, we got Gilbert Urbina versus Charles Radtke. Charles Radtke is a very underrated fighter. He does have good jiu-jitsu, solid boxing, or decent boxing, heavy hands. The thing with Radtke though that worries me is I feel like if he can't get a finish, he's gonna struggle with a guy like Urbina, who's just so technically sound, and he's just consistent with what he does. He has his way of winning, and it's very effective, especially against someone who exerts as much energy as Radke. I think Urbina is gonna have more success as the fight where it goes on. Do I think there's a chance he gets subbed or KO'd early? Yeah, but honestly, I think Urbina is just gonna like above that point in his career now, and I think he's just gonna stay smart and conservative early, get his reads, and I think he's gonna take over round two and three. Definitely gonna be a fun fight for as long as it lasts. I think Radke knows how to make fun fights fun, despite his fight with Blood Diamond. That was pretty ridiculous. That's the main reason I'm taking Urbina. I feel like if Blood Diamond can find success with the takedown defense and landing good shots, I think so can Urbina. So I'm gonna go with Urbina here. I got him at plus money. I wouldn't advise playing him now. Um, yeah, I honestly just think Urbina's gonna win this fight. I think he has more going for him in his career, and I don't know, man. I think he has a lineage to think of. I think Radke is good, but I don't know. Think he's at the level of a lot of these guys, and we'll see if he truly is or not. With if he can beat Urbina. I'm excited for this matchup. There's a lot of matchups I'm pretty excited for. This is one of them. Yeah. Moving on. We have Aliaskhab Khizriev versus Mahmoud Muradov. Honestly, Mahmoud is a very big man. Very dangerous man. But the thing with Mahmoud is, when is the last time he like really KO'd somebody? And when was the last time like he should have finished Barbarino a lot earlier than what he did. I feel like that was a layup by the UFC, and there was times when Barbarino was backing him up, landing some good shots. I thought the tides were turning. I think, in all honesty, I think Makma Mood is very talented, but the heart that you need, especially to deal with Khizriev's relentless pace on the ground. I think Khizriev, if he could get Makmur down early, I think it's a wrap. Especially if he gets the back, that's his best position is once he takes the back. I think Khizriev, I heard he gained some weight. That's why he's been off. I think he's just very talented and he hasn't really been tested. So this is a big test for him. I think he's going to pass with flying colors. Maybe he gets fraud checked, but I'm going to go with Ali Scab Khizriev here by submission round one. It's going to be definitely a fun fight. I could see this going very wrong for me, but I'm going to lean Alice Scarab. I think this is a pretty good spot for him to win. Um, I think the cardio of Muradov. The thing that I worry is both of them being exhausted and Muradov's technique, takedown defense, just being better than Khizriev's wrestling, and he just wins a greasy decision. So that's why it's a close fight, but I'm going to go Khizriev here. Moving on, Viviana Araujo versus Natalia Silva. Probably the lock of the card. I think Natalia Silva has just what it takes to beat someone like Viviana Araujo. Viviana Araujo is strong and can make it difficult for Natalia Silva because she does try to hit the legs, go for double legs, she's really strong in the body lock situation. I think Viviana Araujo could have some success, match the strength for strength with Natalia Silva. But the thing I worry for Natalia Silva the most is if she gets taken down, I don't know if she's going to get back up. I think Viviana Araujo is at a stage in her career. I think she's 37 or 39, where she's just trying to win. And I think that style of fighting can be hard against someone like Natalia Silva, who's just hungry for a finish. And I think she could be too greedy for a finish and maybe fall on her back. I just see this can be an ugly fight. I'm gonna go with Natalia Silva winning unanimously, just piecing up Viviane for 3 rounds. But honestly, I could see this getting greasy, and I don't want to play it for that reason. I'm gonna go with Natalia Silva, and I think she wins by unanimous or split decision. Definitely gonna be a fun fight though. I'm excited for it. Big fight for the division. Winner moves on to a championship contender status. The other one moves, more towards top 10, top 15. Moving on, we have Randy Brown versus Muslim Salikhov. I think Randy Brown has this in the bag. I think he's just, you know, still in his prime, somewhat improving, showing skill in his career. Whereas Muslim is pretty, slow, plodded. Hasn't shown much in his last few fights. Has a finish over Andre Filo, but like everyone's finishing out Andre Filo at this point, so I don't know. I'm gonna have to go with Andy Brown. I think he's just gonna have the better moments. I think he's gonna win a decision. If not, he's gonna win a KO. Definitely a very, very fun fight for what could be uh, what could be Randy Muslim's retirement fight. I think this is I think Muslim's gonna maybe fight more after this. I don't know. Still has a pretty decent record, 19-4. So I'm gonna go with Randy Brown here by decision or KO. Moving on, we have Renato Moicano versus Drew Dober. Drew Dober, man, that guy has a solid chin. He's got dynamite in his hands. He's improved wrestling defense, good improved cardio. I think the guy's a beast. I think he's a bit too hittable, and I think Moicano could exploit that. But the thing with Moicano is he's been off for almost 2 years. Not almost, but over a year he's been off, and I just think all that time off isn't gonna serve him well coming back to someone who starts as dangerously as Drew Dober. I think this is a close fight. I think Drew Dober is gonna find the chin, and I think he's gonna find the chin early. I'm gonna go Drew Dober round one KO. I think Drew Dober just he hits too hard, and I think he's been active, whereas Moicano has not. And I just think if Moicano can't find a sub, a rear naked choke, because Drew Dober's been finished by submission a few times. I feel like if he can't get a submission loss or a submission, I don't think he's going to win this fight. I think Drew Dober is going to win it by decision or KO. So I'm going to go Drew Dober by first round KO. Definitely a fight that I'm looking forward to. Probably one of the most excited fights of the week. Really, kudos to UFC for making this fight. It's a banger of a matchup. I think the winner of this fight moves more closer towards the top 15. Definitely a big fight for the division. But I'm gonna have to side with Drew Dober here. I think Drew Dober is just a bit better, a bit more active, and I think he's gonna be more game when things get tough. So I'm gonna go with Drew Dober here, and it's gonna be a fun one for sure. Moving on, we have Roman Dolidze versus Nasruddin Imavov. Interesting fight. Nasruddin, he has really, really technical striking. It can be hittable. But for the most part, I really like his striking. Very tight work combinations. Nice clinch. I think he's a very, very dangerous man. Nasty ground and pound. I think he can do a lot of good work. The thing with Roman that's kind of like Driscus is he's just so unorthodox and it's so effective. Whereas I think Nasruddin's so used to things being pretty and he's pretty good at dealing with that and, not having issues with people that are, all wild. But you saw in the fight with Phil Hawes, like you saw a lot of fights in his career. Chris Curtis, wasn't a good example, Chris Curtis, but there's been guys in his career who are just awkward that give him trouble. And I think this could be another one of those situations. I think Roman, they've already beat this guy twice with Strickland. I think Nasruddin. I think Nasruddin. I think this could be a good spot for Roman, but I'm just gonna out of logic take Nasruddin by slight lean. Not confident at all. Not betting on this fight. I just think bet skill for skill. I rate Imavov, but I just think that who got the dog in him and who's gonna be able to make up for those few lost skills. I think Dolidze, but it's a really close fight. I'm gonna lean not Imavov, but I'm not confident whatsoever. Um, yeah, if I can give you guys my top five most confident picks. Number one being um, Natalia Silva. Number two, I'd have to say, hmm, I have to say Luana Carolina. Number three, Brown. Randy Brown, number 4, Khizriev, number 5, Mederos. Definitely an interesting card, tricky card. Like, subscribe, you know the drill. I'll catch you next one. And yeah, I'll get a BKFC video when the odds, like when the weigh-ins are done. I'll get a video of that as well. All right, guys, catch you next time.